Hi everybody, how are you today? My name is Rocky Outcrop. This is your morning financial show. How are you all doing? I hope you're all doing really, really well. It's good to see you. Nice to see you, Space Monkey, Texas Thanker, there, Ghost of Dan Ernst, Katie Barra, Jiu-Jitsu, Koki. Got lots of great people out there, thousands of great people, thousands upon thousands of great people out there, many of whom are fantastic, wonderful, diamond-handed GME and AMC shareholders. Now, there's a massive audience here in the Rocky Outcrop community, crypto traders, forex, commodities, and of course as well stocks and shares. And a big group of people who trade stocks and shares also happen to be really interested in these two particular stocks. And some of them are really fantastic people as well. So, you know, big shout out to all my friends that like AMC, for instance, taking part in this wonderful democratic movement to kind of save a cinema chain from going bust, helping push the stock price right up and giving it such a massive new lease of life and interest, and leading right through to really positive earnings and all that good stuff. Really fantastic work. Well done to all of you for all of that. Well done. Really amazing people. Amazing people. Which is why I'm so distressed today, actually. You know, because we remember how we remember when things that we've been told to remember. One of the things that we're really good at. And this came up in the Discord today, which I thought was interesting. You'll notice here that this is Adam Aaron, CEO of the movie theater stock AMC here. This is his name on this little form. And you'll notice that on the 9th of November there, he sold a big chunk of his shares at $40 there. So much so, in fact, 63% of the shares that he owns. Just saying here. Thanks to Investor Gadget for pointing that out. Another reason he says, now he isn't a fan of AMC. So this is a big example of how the Rocky Outcrop community has every different type of person in there, and we're all amazing allies to each other no matter what, which is an amazing thing. The rising tide, that's all of you. The rising tide, it's fantastic. One person here says he doesn't like AMC, and he was and Adam Aram sold 62% of his shares before the company dilutes, he thinks, because it can't make any cash any other way, and that's what Adam Aram might be up to. Which has left me feeling a wee bit. What time is it? 17 minutes past. Got some time till the market's open. Leaves me just, you know, we can still obviously, like, we use technical analysis here. So you've got things like technical analysis to look to give you ideas about charts, and sometimes, you know, and you could look, we might be looking down even to $34, and you might think, in a sense, that there's that you know, well, fair enough if he wants to sell some of his shares at $40, if the prices on the charts themselves might be suggesting that it could go to 34. You know, in that sense, and we're not going to, you know, we don't mind that aspect of things. We're traders in the community, of course, even if we do diamond hand some stocks. But we remember, Adam. We remember, Adam.
Gifted some shares to my 2 adult sons. 5.5 in AMC shares. Pay or do something foolish? We're not going to do that. Pay an arm and a leg or overpay or do something foolish? We're not going to do that.
Right.
Remember, an arm and a leg or overpay or do something foolish? We're not going to do that.
Right.
Remember this. Do something foolish? We're not going to do that.
Right.
Remember this. Overpay or do something foolish? We're not going to do that.
Right.
Remember this.
Remember this.
Do something foolish, we're not going to do that.
Right.
Remember this. I am an AMC shareholder.
He's an AMC shareholder.
I've run AMC now for 5.5 years.
He's run AMC for
Other
5.5 years.
than when I gifted some shares to my 2 adult sons. I have not sold one AMC share in 5.5 years. Now for remember pay an arm and a leg or overpay or do that.
Right.
Remember this.
Remember this.
I am an AMC shareholder. Not going to do that.
Right.
Remember this.
Remember this.
I am an AMC shareholder.
He's an AMC shareholder.
I've run AMC now for 5.5 years.
He's run AMC for
Other
5.5
than when I
years.
gifted some shares to my 2 adult sons.
Other than when he
I've not
gifted
sold
some shares.
one AMC share in 5.5 years. And I have no current intentions to sell AMC shares at the moment. I'm a believer. I believe AMC shares at the moment. I'm a believer. I believe AMC shares at the moment. I'm a believer. I believe that we can grow our company, strengthen our company, build our company. That we can grow our company, strengthen our company, build our company. That we can grow our company, strengthen our company, build our company. And that's what our entire management team is focused on. That's what our entire management team is focused on, our company. And that's what our entire management team is focused on. And again, disconnecting this from the share price of the moment. Disconnecting this from the share price of the moment. Over the long term, my share price of the moment. Over the long term, my job is to build a stronger AMC. Over the long term, my job is to build a stronger AMC, and that's what I'm committed to doing. To build a stronger AMC, and that's what I'm committed to doing.
Perfect. You know,
AMC, and that's what I'm committed to doing.
Perfect. You know, you said you kind of circled back to this, so I think this would be a good point to touch back on, is just the liabilities versus current cash on.
Not going to do that.
Right.
Remember this. I am an AMC shareholder. I've run AMC now for 5.5 years. Other than when I gifted some shares to my 2 adult sons.
Is that right?
I have not sold one AMC share in 5.5 years.
Right.
And I have no current intentions to sell AMC shares at the moment.
Okay.
I'm a believer.
You are. He's a believer.
We can grow our company, strengthen our company, build our company. And that's what our entire management team is focused on.
Back to business as usual. Welcome to the show. Thanks very much for joining me. Could be obviously in a better mood. But you know, that's that, right? That's what happened. That's what happened. Okay? No need for me to put any opinions in on top of that. I'll just leave that with you. You can decide. Let me know what you think about all of that. I think the silent reporting by me on that one is fair enough. That's what some people's opinions are. They're about everything about it, and that's the situation. That's the situation as it stands right now for us. Hey Buzz, could you have a look at PCT for Jiu-Jitsu guy myself? If you have a minute, thanks, buddy. D, no problem. Would love to take a look at that. Let's go take a look at PCT. PCT, thanks again for joining me, by the way. My name's Rocky Outcrop. We are a community of traders. We're the rising tide. We help lift each other up. We're here every day for some positivity and good stuff. We're going to take a look at Pure Cycle Technologies here in just a second. Maybe what I need to do... Woo! Oh, that's a messy chart. Maybe what I need to do... just hide that for a second, is rise up, right? Inject some positivity back into ourselves. You know, that's what I need to do. Let's just, like, good news is AMC apes can sell and buy stock that is not teetering on bankruptcy, says KC. That's positivity there, out there. Fapping it is here with us being he's starting to doubt whether or not he's an AMC shareholder. That's the conversation out there from some people. You know, 625,000 shares at $40 each. So there's Simone, Veronica out there putting out the math for everybody. Got good chat. AMC is still tradable, but it was never GME, says Bunsen Burner. Different stories, different stuff. Great conversations out there. Everybody out there, dead positive, all that stuff, all that good stuff, right? Everybody chatting to each other. Let's do some squats, lift each other up, raise each other up, inject that positivity into ourselves. It pushes oxygen around your brain and all the rest of it, and it gets you back in the proper mood, right? Oh, look at this freaking curly thing showing up here in my head. I like some sort of, I'll have a pint of milk, please. I'm like a guy from some 1960s thing, like whatever. Right, cool. Where's the button to make it so the background appears again? Right, great, excellent. Okay. Oh, there. Just about to do some squats. What did you say? What did you say? What kind of exercise? What kind of exercise do lazy people do? Diddly squats. Thank you, Rocky, for all you do. I love this community, the good folks in it, and all I sorry, just a second. And all I am getting to learn. Great, fantastic. Squat time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, great. Well done. Well done to everybody if you're able to follow along with that one. Right, different style squats today. Getting all of any energies we wanted out of our systems. Back onto the charts. Thanks so much for joining me again. Single leg squats, fapping it. You're crazy. I like you, buddy, but you're crazy. Single leg squats. Leave them for Corey Bing Bong at the minute. We'll build up to that over time, maybe. Whew. Woohoo. Well, I need to sort the white balance out of my camera, that's for sure. Anyway, he's a cross between Gerber Baby and Christopher Reeve Superman. I don't know what that's in reference to, but that's an interesting cross. Hopefully a percent and not a fixed rate. They'll probably go try to jump the GME wagon now. Oh, 20, easy as you like. Nice. Thanks for the praise, 3-day Benki. Good to see you, Ben. Hope you're doing well. Okay, out of breath here for a second. And thanks again, everybody, for joining us today. Hit like, really do appreciate it. You're the best people in the world, all of you. Thanks so much. Great. Thank you very much, Janine. $5 super chat just there now. See if I can get this to be visible. You seem to be feeling better, Rocky. Check out all those squats. Glad to see you doing well. Thanks to the squats and the Crown Bros do for us. Thank you. Extra energized today. Oh, golly. Right, well, this is a little bit lower than that previous low here in Pure Cycle Technologies. Has the markets opened? Oh, they're about to open up in 30 seconds. Well, we're opening up looking at Pure Cycle. Bad Mama Jamma, thanks so much for the $5 super chat there as well. Love you, brother. Love you too, Justin, man. He's laid out properly. That's better. Right. Go up to the 4-hour time frame just to have a wee look around here. That big flash up there getting filled. Did push on past it. Wonder if that's maybe a good just a second here to take a look how high up that did come. Not as high as the 113. So it's kind of a fairly good example, I suppose, of that sort of system. Obviously drawn one in from the past, or in the past from here down. We were looking at this and was considering that maybe this is a ascending triangle at the time and it could have got a bounce from there. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So what did happen then, looking back, I was obviously looking for the positive case here with this in mind. Seems when we pushed down past this, we weren't able to recover it again in that little section just there with regards to the prices moving down past the area of this upward sloping line and then being unable to retake it into this area again and it actually just coming down the way. This is one of these examples, I suppose, in a sense of the of moving down past the downward sloping diagonal line, past the diagonal line and looking for that sort of retest. So the way that kind of often goes. Thanks so much for the tip there, Minner. BTC head and shoulders into a wedge, then followed up with a head and shoulders move to 68.5, wick to golden pocket after. Is support being established above the neckline? Ooh, interesting. Take a look at Bitcoin then next, shall we? Hey, oh, I had an idea. I could put some chat up here behind me. Can I do that? No, I can't. No, that wouldn't work all the time. Right. Anyway, cool. Yeah. So so that happened, and we pushed down a wee bit. Then, as a result, we come down towards this lower area. A couple of ways, I suppose, you could be looking at this in a sense with regards to the this area over here previously. I want to just kind of make it a little bit clearer on my eyes for a second. Oh, sugar. Oh, we have opened up and we pushed right down here. Right, okay, so this is happening right now live. Sorry for being so sort of like, right, okay, well, the squats, there they are, there they have them. Right, okay, so we've pushed on down the way. Where are we? Where is this? What's happening right now? Oof, this is exciting stuff. Bring the charts back up, the thingy back up here. Get rid of that. That's massive noise in the way. That didn't work out. That's pushed down. It's got any sort of positive here. Oh, that's real deep as well. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? 1618. Bounce off the 1618. Okay, good. Open and push to the 1618. The 1618 here, by the way, in this situation, right? Okay, so sorry, excuse my language. Almost swore there, didn't. What I actually said was fudge kit. Which is what you would use, a kit that you would get to make fudge from. Anyway, what I was just going to put everything into the bin bucket for now, so I can look at this without being too distracted by all this other stuff. We came down the way here, and when we recovered and failed to recover at this area here, I was just wondering then, since we pushed outside of this range, when I was looking at this low just here and thinking, well, if there's your high, sort of low, if we're coming down the way, I was considering what this would all mean, etc., and where we would then be going for. And the reason I'm talking about this just now is that we're having a bounce off the 1618, and this isn't proactively moving towards the downside, and we're looking at the minute and seeing how much of a bounce are we going to get, and we'll come back to that in a second. But just starting off here, since this is an example of something happening right now live, and how I wanted to figure out where we were just there, I was looking at this and thinking, well, what was my reasoning behind doing this measurement there? There you have it, just real quick. So I was looking to see then how far we've come down in relation to that low to high movement, and where we are, kind of just, and that was all. Just wanted to know. We're obviously lower than our previous low as well here. This is a high, highs, whatever, lows, highs, and even further on down with the low here, kind of cracking down past this overall support. So what's the move been so far, just to measure from the kind of rough neckline type territories? I'll come back and read the chat in just a second. Sorry, is this just happening live? So I just wanted to kind of see what's the scenario. This the range that's been expressed for this movement down the way is equal up to there, already. So at this point, already kind of looking and asking questions about, will we actually get this as being a momentum play towards the top side today, or will we see any follow through down the way? And it's kind of similar to when we've had plenty of moves in the past, where we've looked at from where they've come from to where they consolidate at, etc., and what we need to see moving up. We can see here that we've come close to, with regards to the initial movement so far today, the 236 as well. So I'm going to be just kind of keeping an eye in on this right here. I'm going to want to kind of look and see a couple of different little things as well. Let's put on some other things onto the charts here, so I can have a couple of other things here. Right. BPVR is not obviously of very little use there on the screen at that moment in time for what we're looking at. Going back out the way, we can see that this is actually all-time lows on this one. So that's a real, they're not going to have anything on the VPVR down there, obviously. The gap that brought us down here means it's just going to be, empty anyway as well. From recent price action, if I just have that on the screen. So sorry for saying so much. I'm trying to, it's obviously I'm talking about something that's moving and trying to assess the major pivots in the market. If this was something that you were doing, yourself, this HMO cloud obviously miles away, but on the smaller term time frames, I'll be looking to see, not that one, in terms of the immediacy of this thing, just looking to see if there's anything positive for us with regards to achieving anything at all. Thanks for that, Dan. Appreciated. So far there isn't. Okay, so that's where we are with that. Where's the moving averages? And gonna want to have a couple of smaller term moving averages on the screen here. I want to just see the smaller term ones. Why is it? Obviously this is miles away, right? So they're going to all take time to catch up. Likewise with the VWAP as well. I mean, you stick any of that sort of crap on there, you're going to have that problem. Everything else is going to be outside of its bounds. Obviously with the Bollinger Bands, etc. as well. So it's these sorts of, all these kind of waiting to see if anything positive at all, other than the fact that obviously we got quite close to that 1618 and pushed up the way again. Is there anything extra insights to be learned in terms of linear or anything like that? I mean, there just isn't on that one. Where's my other Fibonacci at? I remove it. Matter. Okay, cool. So we'll wait and see how that goes, right? We'll come back to it in a wee bitty. We could follow this for so far, but this is negative. That's why it's sunk back down so far. We've not seen the positivity yet. Obviously, in terms of these tiny time frames, the Bollinger Band's going to catch up with it and whatever else. But any sort of follow through and follow through is negative and whatever else. But I think there's the easy way to manage your risk here. Just simply put, that you could easily play this if you're trading it today. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is financial advice. And think about, you know, like for instance, whether or not we're going for a gap fill or any of that sort of stuff. And there's plenty of opportunity to be had here with this one. If we do, we're seeing the volume. What's the earnings like? Earnings are so bad, are they? 34% worse than they were expected. That's not much, is it? How actually bad is it for the company wise? They're already estimated negative ones. Fine, right? Sound actually. So there's that. That is an opportunity. I feel like this is it's a risky one. There isn't much in terms of. I'm thirsty. There isn't. There isn't much there in terms of the you know, trend towards the upside to look at that you could buy into, right? Because there isn't. So hence we're here catching a knife. Can you end up with bloody fingers on these things? Yes, you can. Can we catch a knife on this one? Possibly. We've come down possibly far enough in terms of this movement, in terms of the pattern up above and the neckline and the drop down and the 1618 Fibonacci. So we give ourselves 2 reasons to think that maybe we've done enough. This is just after earnings that were negative, etc. It's quite a knee-jerk reaction, pushed in pre-market. So there's all these opportunities for the positive case. We would the 236 is kind of lining up with where the gap is on the charts and all that sort of stuff. And I would be happy to catch a knife on this one with the expectation of, you know, not cutting off my fingers, not letting it actually drop down, you know, and holding on to positions. This one, a happy trade. I'm sure if people are doing this out there in the world, then they'd be looking then carefully at that 236 if they were going to be consolidating underneath this and not able to push up the way and actually kind of defending a gap in here. Then you're going to be looking at things like the possibility for disappointing price action, like you've seen on the likes of, say, if I just bring up the Humanigen chart here, and you know, with sometimes you see a big gap that come down. This is a bigger time frame, obviously, but see a big gap that comes down. You push up a wee bit, you pull down the way, come up again. So you know, this could all start happening over there with that sort of kind of theory as to how price action tends to go in mind. However, there's the opportunity to try for something and to be able to manage your risk well enough on it. And I'm not a financial advisor, none of this financial advice, but that was how you might want to handle situations like that in a sense, right? Okay, now it can't always be perfect. But hey, cool, nice way to start the day, right? Let's just check in on our pal AMC. How's it getting on so far today? Looking okay, and here at $38, that's not so bad. I actually don't want to see it going down to $34 or any of that sort of stuff. I am actually kind of, you know, not massively wanting to kind of comment too much in terms of my own opinions or conjecture about any of that stuff that I went through at the start of the show here today. I just thought it was necessary to put that out there, and I was experiencing the sort of catharsis that I expect the people elsewhere in the world would have been experiencing at the time, and just kind of processing through that with people. And I think that was a fair enough thing to do. But nevertheless, I'm still going to take my lead from the charts themselves, I think, and that's the clean way to do it, and that's the smart thing to do. I mean, Adam Aaron himself released the and was on that interview talking with Trey when the prices were up here, you know, which obviously there's up. That's what happened, and but they were discussing how he'd released the remaining shares that they had available within the company and sold them through hedge funds at this $34 sort of price before the price is actually pushed up. So in a sense, you could maybe just say, well, if it's Adam Aaron doing it, maybe he's not the best person to follow in terms of the particular times that he does anything. Maybe that's kind of the fun way to put that out into the context of course, when this interview came out, 3rd of June, it was streamed here. Just looking back at the price action, got the 2nd of June. Here, the 2nd of June here was when the high was. You know, the 3rd of June here obviously was when the price dropped down. you know. So, and this is when he announced that share happened, having arranged this interview with Trey here at the top of the market, when obviously, of course, Trey cashed in his options and made $1 million there at the top, right when that interview was arranged, as it happened as well. That's just no opinions, nothing at all. That's just the history there. And now this has happened over here, and who's to say, you know? So Adam Aaron's decision, and then a trader's decision. Let's put it in that, because I'm trying to frame something that's positively. That's all I'm trying to say. And that. So you know, Adam Aaron's decision was over here. A trader's decision was over here. Adam Aaron's decision over here, whatever. Maybe we still get to see other stuff that happens due to just technical analysis reasons, even though there obviously is, and that's obviously going to have an impact on market sentiment, and it's things to kind of bear in mind. And it's probably worth, if you know, when most of the time news is rarely worth paying attention to, just given the characterization of the event that's been put forward by the man himself, and how he directly coupled share ownership with his own belief in the company explicitly to a massive audience on an interview that lasted for an hour, with that's been viewed 500,000 times by shareholders who he spoke directly to, and he told those 500,000 people to directly to remember that he owns the shares because he believes in the company explicitly. That's all. That's worth pointing that out, and that's is rare instance when I would say that this is one of those rare times when it's worth kind of just bearing in mind market sentiment from that could be you know, worth hold if people ask you to hold them to account, then you and they say remember, then that's the time when I'll say, okay, I'll remember then, in that sense. And then when it happens, and then they're asking to hold them to account, well, then it's okay, we can do that. But the rest of the time, I'll not interject. Right. Okay, yes, let's effing go, says Katie Barra. That's cool, that's excellent. TradeSpotting out there in the chat. If you don't know who TradeSpotting is, definitely check out his channel, youtube.com/c/TradeSpotting. Excellent, definitely my favorite YouTuber. If anybody thinks to tell me to delete a tweet or direct my conversations, I'll not care about anything that's gone before in our friendship. I will never do what someone else wants if it harms others. Brilliant, valiant, valor guy. He'll never do what anybody else wants if it harms others. He's that type of guy. He's just a good guy. That's one of the reasons why I love him. Great. Excellent. So anyway, AMC looking okay just here, right? Whatever. It's had an okay start to the day. I'm actually interested. How's that PCT getting on just now as it happens? So kind of, you know, like that's this little bit of consolidation happening just here. Cool. Okay. You know, it's obviously it's so far as in reference to where we are in today's movements, that's obviously above the 236, but we're looking at this from a broader perspective as to whether or not we can actually push up above these things. That's where we're finding the sort of the smaller term time frame resistances will start to kind of kick in at around about these levels. You can see the Ichimoku cloud starting to spread out here above the 236 right here on PCT, you know, so like just these sorts of things to be aware of. Obviously all roads lead to Rome, so we're just keeping an eye out on the topography here. So Ms. A right there with you. Cool, nice one. What's Ms. A saying? I need to go over this sadness I need to get over this sadness REMC. I can't speak. Yeah, we're not, but we're not. We are the rising tide, right? And nobody can ever betray us, right? We're the rising tide. We're sat here looking at these sorts of these sorts of things happening. We're financially literate people and helping others to become financially literate. We're interested in accountability, responsibility, self-reliance, sort of, you know, being a good person, all this sort of stuff. Like there's you know, there's these things are not portrayals really of us, because that would be too petty to constitute a betrayal for us. I mean, it's a betrayal of maybe others, but we are the rising tide, and as such we obviously rise above petty things like that. It's just that he asked us specifically to remember And then there, and that, so we can do that aspect of things as and that, you know, because obviously we're accountable. Right, Twitter shows you what no other social media does, says Michael Jordan's Ghost. Okay, cool, excellent. It shows you tweets, and other social media, Instagram shows you pictures, Facebook shows you books of faces, YouTube shows you tubes. Hello. Dink, and the last two earnings calls, what's that chat in there? He announced in that interview he was going to be selling this winter. He announced in that interview he was going to be selling this winter, did he? So it wasn't a betrayal. So he was told us in that interview he's selling us this winter. So it wasn't betrayal. Sorry, right? Sound okay? Cool. It wasn't. He said in that interview he's selling this winter. I don't know that bit. Did he say that? He said he wasn't doing it anytime soon.
And again, long term, my job is to build a stronger AMC, and that's what I'm committed to doing.
But for some reason, he coupled his share ownership with belief in the company and how in the long term he's committed to building a stronger AMC. He made that association. He said but, right? And stuff like that. Okay, so, you know, I'm selling shares at the moment, and I'm a believer in the company, that we can grow a company, strengthen our company, and that's what our entire team and management are focused on, connecting the share price at the moment over the long term. Stronger AMC, that's what I'm committed to doing. Blah blah blah. Looking after raise, good point. Number of debts, capital. Oh, great, excellent. End of universe. Mention 4 billion, 6 billion, 2026. Long-term debts, debts all the time. Share account, 500 million. Blah, not going to help the shareholders. Not going to help the current shareholders. Not going to help the current shareholders. Really? Is he going to help the current shareholders?
To splitting our stock, or I've never given any serious thought to splitting our stock or a reverse split of our stock. That's point number one. Point number two, we have absolutely no plans to split our stock or do a reverse split of our stock.
So while he didn't have plans to sell his own stock, then also he then didn't have plans to do any of those stock split things either, as it happens, right? He didn't have plans then to sell his stock. He didn't have plans to do thingy, right? He coupled them. He coupled them in that interview. He coupled these things together, right? So while maybe in this interview he said that he might sell them in winter, he's coupled all these things together, right? He arranged this interview with Tree. And he announced in it that these.
You want to hear point number three?
Yeah.
We can't split our stock or do a reverse split of our stock without shareholder approval.
So he's not going to get shareholder approval, perhaps.
So if we wanted to do that, and we don't. So if we wanted to do that, and we don't. We would have to go out to the shareholders for a vote. So guess who makes that decision? Adam Aaron doesn't make that decision. You, the owners of AMC, you make that decision.
But he makes his decision about when he sells his own shares, though.
So guess who makes that? We do that, and we don't. But if we wanted to do that, we would have to go out. Twitter about king this and king that, you know, well, it's funny and it's flattering, and it's more funny than flattering. But you know what? You know who the real king is? The shareholder is king.
The shareholder is king. The shareholder is king. Shareholder is king. Shareholder is king. He was a shareholder, a much bigger king. He was a much bigger king before he's less of a king. See how it's just that it's him himself that he did this in a way that this was considered. To what benefit has it been to him? And why did he do this? And why did this whole thing happen? What is this whole thing? What is this whole thing? Like, looking back, what is this whole thing? Anyway, at some point in here, you might mention something about winter. I was a sales guy early in my career, and I learned how to spot the sleaziest of them, which is why I was very happy I got out of AMC back in the 60s. Adam Aram defines sales sleaze, and I have no faith in his word. There we go. That's a comment from Dan. Oh, wait,
Treasury, and what I would like to use that cash for is to grow the company.
To spend $25 million on advertising campaigns as well. Wasn't that a big one?
To seize on opportunities that come before us, to create value for shareholders, to
response right.
And we can come back to that. So this is looking okay so far, but you can see how there could be coming out a point of failure. Let's just check out at GME how it's getting on. It's dropped down today into the cloud. Why is that so white? Oh, I've got this box in the background. Oh, yeah. So it's below $200 currently, and we're yeah. So we've been down as low as that 196 area again, right? 196 was one of the numbers I do believe I pointed out recently as being a potential for us, but now obviously we're below that $200 pivot, and we could be looking down then at the minute if we do were to be continue high to go down what with this numbers thing here, fella. It could be looking down here perhaps towards that 171 area. It could happen, right? So this is this. Let's work on an assumption that we could well be wrong about that. Thanks so much, Rocky. Remember the first AMC vid I made with Trey? This call for Aaron round 2 sellout vid. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know though. I don't know because all I do know is that he's a young guy that's done an awful lot for the entire community of people out there, and I wouldn't want to attack the host or anything of that interview at all. Anything that I've said so far, really, and any points that I've made about any of this and or whatever have been purely to do with the man on the left hand side of this here, and this one comment here about what happened. And I don't think that Trey asked for this to happen, you know, in a sense. I think that Adam asked Trey, and that in a sense that Trey is a victim of this. Like when Ghost of Dan says before that he was he knows about like salesmen, and that he thinks that Adam Aron's being like a salesman. So like Ghost of Dan said there, I was a sales guy early in my career, and he knows how to spot the sleazy salesman, is what you're saying. And it's kind of like there's Trey, you know, not able to see this, to see that, you know. It's like Dan, the salesman, would have been selling to the likes perhaps of Trey in this situation, and you know, in that way. It's not. This isn't a judgment on him in any way. I'm not trying to do anything negative about it. This is what happens to all of this. Sleazy salesmen wouldn't exist if it were not for the efficacy of sleazy salesman tactics. This happened at the time with 500,000 people, and you don't see like, you know, you don't. It's not like 500,000 people have watched this, right? So 500,000 people have got an opinion about this thing, and they're entitled to have an opinion about this, and they're entitled to not feel like that they watched it and were wrong to be positive. You know, the 500,000 people that watched this were not idiots. and neither was Trey, right? So that's my point. Okay, but I would, but yeah, I remember, Bam Bam Jamma. It's good quality content. Right. So if you had this, if these are two lows, I would definitely want to advocate strongly on behalf of the people who watched that, and especially, you know. So anyway, if you're looking at these as being two lows here, then you've got a bit of bullish divergence. That's good to see. It's not like we can be super happy about what we're seeing over here with this negative cross here as it exists on the DMI currently. And the fact that the ADX is below 25 there's no strength of trend either direction, so we could be going into chop, we could not be. So it's not like that's not massively brilliant. There's positivity here in terms of the, what am I looking at here, the 3-minute time frame. I mean, come on, right? So this is me looking for lows in 3-minute time frame. Hold on a second, this is a bit like for major turnarounds, etc. Like, come on, chill out. Like look at this. Like, there's the negative cross that came in here on the say the 15-minute time frame between these two moving averages. We've come back up since and tested off of the 50. We've come up towards the cloud. This is a bearish picture which we're seeing here. The bearishness on this chart, yeah, a bit of bullish divergence. Yeah, we've pushed up towards this area here, but where are we turning around at? It would take quite a bit. You know, we'd have to push right into these zones to really feel like we were turning things around, regardless of what happens in the meantime. And that's like the sensing of the trend aspect of things. Okay, so what are we getting out of this? Like, what are we getting out of this? Well, in the 15-minute time frame, you can see that up here we haven't crossed, you know, like, I mean, the positivity that you're looking for in the 3-minute time frame is not really there, and it's hard to make a case for it. Negative cross, you know, over here in the 15-minute time frame, the positivity you're looking for, it's not there, and you can't make a case for it while the sort of, you know, the Rick and Morty scenario hasn't played out yet, etc., and whatever else. So while we could, the positivity that would come in for this thing comes in back above $204 again, and this, I suppose, in a sense, is a small thesis on right here, and you could sum it up by saying that Rocky essentially is saying that 196 and is an area, and $204 is an area, and that typically people might look to $200 itself as being the area, and it isn't quite. And while we've come up towards 203 and 203.15 today so far, that the reason why $200 itself, as it stands right here right now, hasn't been the thing that's flung us up the way, is because realistically you're going to have to actually get up into this area and try, and you know, even then it's not a sure thing. And kind of drawn that perspective out the way, then if we do this on the 1 hour time frame, then we'll be back inside the we've remained within the Bollinger Bands, by the way, as it happens on there. We'll have taken out, that's that moving average, the smaller term. Yeah, so the tiny time frame moving average here, the 8-period simple moving average. You know, that's like your first port of call. Like, can you even take that out? And then you've got the what's this? What is this coming in here for the Ichimoku cloud? Have I got the lagging span on? No, I don't. That's just the baseline so far, or the conversion line's just so far down. It is indeed, yeah. So you know, we're so far away from these things. The moving average, convergence, divergence, obviously going to be pushing down here and giving us like any convergence you're looking for on larger time frames towards the low, as you can see there with this pushing down. So like, you know, if you're going to be looking for you to get bullish divergence on the MACD, then how are you going to be able to do it while you're existing below the moving averages and the short term moving average? You know, so you need to be really push above that. You could easily remain below the longer term moving average, come back down again, and then maybe you start to see this thing slacking off, because the moving average convergence divergence, it would be obviously converging then, and when they converge, that's them coming back towards their baseline. So if the moving averages are converging, then that's whenever you're going to see shallower lows. That's when you're going to see shallower lows. So if you're looking for shallower lows on that thing, hence bullish divergence, then obviously you're looking for that. And to kind of follow through, I suppose, with yesterday's, or was it the day before, the ridiculously good lesson that I put out with regards to bullish divergence and wedges, that in terms of the MACD, which is of course the MACD is of course the moving average convergence divergence indicator. That if you're looking for there to be a return in terms of the peaks and or the troughs, moving closer and closer towards the either direction, either of these towards the baseline of the MACD, then you're going to need to see the moving averages converge as opposed to diverge, right? Because this is an expression of course, the distance between these two things. So that means that then, so to see us to have this divergence, which is obviously, you know, you can obviously see divergence going sideways or divergence when they're trending down the way, and not need to necessarily look for a wedge on the charts, etc. Then that's of course the scenario where that would be the case. Cool. Providing value for people every day. Not new news. Not new news. What's not new news? Who cares about the new news aspect of it? We're talking about all the other aspects of it in terms of how people will feel that are investing in the company. That's what we're talking about here. I believe no one. Let Rocky play the entire video. You want to play the entire? You want to play the entire video? You want to see the entire video? Because there's stuff to be had there. I think we'd have to get some. I'd have to review the chit chat here and see how you're all getting on before I would do anything like that. When you know, somebody's saying that Bunsen Burner saying that he'd be Coco's personal assistant. That's really nice. Good to know that Coco's got personal assistants. Rich, why would you keep saying not news? This is not. This is news. I don't know. You two can talk to each other and figure that out, and I'll come back to it in the chat in a wee while. Wink, wink. Just super tipped. That's what we can call that. Super tipped. He's super tipped to me. NBEV. Trading at. Oh wait, no, there was. I'm sorry. I'll read this. But we'll go back because there was the other one, and I really don't need to miss these things, people, ever. You know, just want to see where was it? Where was it? Head and shoulders on Bitcoin. Pop that over there for now. Bitcoin miner, aye, head and shoulders Bitcoin heading to wedge, right, and then this one that came in from Wink Wink, NBEV trading at support and 0.5 retracement from all-time fib, weekly MACD cross. Shout out to Jamie. Daily flash high above inside golden pocket from last high. What think? Right, cool. Love the way that you pointed out that during it that you're looking at weekly aspects to this thing. So I'll come over to look at that in 5 or 10 minutes or whatever, you know. I'm assuming that you're not. It's not like you're like feeling like you really need to know right this second for the markets. We can go check out what that was that you were talking about Bitcoin there, Pally Wally, do that right. Space Monkey just dropped a couple of hearts there. Thank you so much for that, by the way. Really lovely. So Bitcoin head and shoulders into a wedge. Bitcoin head and shoulders into a wedge, then followed up with the head and shoulders move to 68.5. 68.5. Is this speculative? You're talking about Bitcoin head and shoulders here into the I'm just trying to break down your comments, but I don't doubt that you've said some things that are well said there, right? But we can just kind of look at this as well from, say, let's just kind of ram it up into the 4-hour time frame so that we can see if there's that face. I think it's a funny face. I have to get up a different chart. Because that had that face on it. Right, Bitcoin head and shoulders into a wedge, then followed up with the head and shoulders move to 68.5. Wick to golden pocket after. Wick to golden pocket after. So if that's the golden pocket after, then you're talking. This will be where your head and your Fibonacci's in from. Close. Is that because it's logarithmic? That's logarithmic there. I mustn't have had it on logarithmic a second ago, but that doesn't matter. That's not where your Fibonacci's in from, so let's just assume you took it from the right sort of shoulder area, possibly here, And that's past it. Oh, I went past it myself. Bye. And there's your, that must be where you were looking at. So that's where you're looking at. That there. It's a curious one, right? Because you're talking about measuring that from here. Fair enough. And you could also consider, you know, measuring it out from here, where you have the previous low. If I just don't extend those lines right, you'll not be too distracted by them. You could have also measured it out kind of like that, you know. In which case the wick that came down pushed past the 50, bounced back up again, yada yada, but didn't change things at all. 236 was where support broke down on both of them essentially. 382 here, and then over here actually was more like support in a sense, you know. Just making a comparison between these 2 points that you made here, just, you know, in terms of that's there that 382 is, you know. There's where the 50% is, and I can see why it's like it's either or in terms of the wick and whatever else. But nice work, you know. If you were aiming there, then perfect, well done, F yeah. Not quite as low as the 618, not quite as low as the in terms of this one over here. If I pop it off of log though and go to linear, then where is it coming in at? Just to see, yeah, exactly, right, fine. Okay, cool. And you'd said that is support being established above the neckline. The neckline is here. And yeah, great, nice one, exactly. So sorry it took me so long to parse what you were saying there. Various different ways you could look at this. If this was your head and shoulders move, and this is kind of the resulting, sorry, the arrow kind of on there makes it look, and that's the kind of the resulting move outside of the head and shoulders, and then the subsequent retest of the 618 here, is that kind of enough, and are we establishing support up above that region? And that's a very good point to make. Very, very, very excellently made. Well done, nice work, good work, Minner. Thanks for doing the work for me in that sense. Just looking in here and kind of establishing where else that could be kind of wrong at the minute. You know, that crossover there on the DMI is not good. So establishing support could be, but failure to get continuation is also quite, you know, could easily see that doesn't work as support. There's this nice little bounce on the RSI here, you know, not perfect, right? In a sense, not perfect. Got a couple of, you know, it moved down a couple of times, it tried a bit here, pushed a bit further. I mean, could it do something like that? But kind of generally speaking, be kind of trending towards the top side in that sense, and stronger. 24-hour time frame. Is there any insights for us on this one in terms of where we are? So that's still in position of strength, and the and it kind of squishes all of that rest of that stuff down a bit, because you know, it's, you wouldn't, you know, it's, this isn't where you were looking. So that's cool. But then it does draw in other questions about, are we looking at that necessarily correctly overall? Does it matter necessarily? In terms of trading this on the smaller time frames, it does. You can understand why a swing trader on a bigger point of view would be satisfied with any movements down as low as 60,000, given where we are now. So from whatever point of view that you're looking at, well, all these things could obviously remain in place. This is not really hidden bullish divergence that came into that right hand shoulder, by the way, or anything. It was support at the neutral line. As we can see here, this was a higher high that came in and was bearishly divergent here as well. With this one, it was like quite weak in comparison on the 8th of November when we came in there as well. So you can see that there's kind of like it's like, while you make that case, and I agree with it in its most, and I agree with the case that you're making in principle. Absolutely. I would still be hesitant here at this point to say that that's necessarily all it's got in the bag. I'd want to then now look and see how these two highs as a general point have performed versus each other on that on here as we're looking, and we can see that while right, we can see that this is actually just bearishly divergent on the run up through there. And then on this move up, we've come up, but we've not come up as high. So this could easily, I mean, the right. So this, but we'll just simplify that and say that that wasn't bearishly divergent between those two overall highs on the 4-hour time frame. So again, though, you know, that's fine in terms of like so long as we're not taking out this low here. So from this market structural point of view that I'm trying to make with regards to if this is two highs that we're making a comparison between here on the charts. We're making a comparison point. If we're making a comparison between these two highs just here in the chart, then what is the low between those two highs? There's a high, and I'm saying, is that divergent? Where's the low between those two highs? And the low is in here at 58,000. So if you're going to place all of your hopes and dreams on this not working as this as being not divergent or whatever for continuation into the long term, then you're going to have to accept that movements even as low as anything above 58,000 are within your bullish thesis. Which would be useful in a sense to kind of burn off any potential for more divergences that we've just initiated here between between these two, if it did need to happen from that person's perspective. So you can see how there's all these different dichotomies that you can have when you're in terms of how you might be trading the thing. But then as well, like just considering this kind of dynamic that exists, like this is the move really that pushes the RSI and on the 4-hour time frame up as high as this to make it so that this general thrust wouldn't be divergent versus this general, or would be divergent versus this general thrust. If what we see is higher highs coming in here with divergence again here, because then what you'd be looking at is this movement up, which was which carried on from that point right there. This is for people looking at this at home, sort of 6th, 7th of October. Got the 4-hour Bitcoin USDT chart up here, and looking in and out that region there is around about 7th or so of October, and saying that initial thrust up there was quite high, and then it led to this movement which was bearishly divergent. And that if we get a second string of this on the go here, then this is when we get this is when you get those opportunities to really BTFD, to really massively buy the F and dip, or indeed to short it down towards those areas, to take profit if you're trading it well, or indeed to look out for ultimate overall trend changing moves. So this gives you that longer term setup. All I'm really trying to say is that depending on how this really progresses, it's just something to bear in mind, which is going to be easily overlooked, which is evident here in the 4-hour time frame, and it would have implications for you here, because this is what stacks up on the 24-hour time frame to have created this movement up, which was ultimately this high. So this is this high here is this peak here. This high here is this peak here. It's just so complicated what I'm trying to say, because it's such an advanced level type thing to look at. But this high right here is the outcome of this thrust up the way here, which is the outcome of this move up here on the 4-hour time frame, which was initiated in here, which then led to this overall phase, which can lead to the big term stuff. So that whenever you jump up towards the weekly time frame and you look across it, and you see that what we're actually looking at on the weekly time frame here, as we put in all-time highs, is this type of bearish divergence right here, where you get a better handle on whether or not we're just divergent on this time frame as we now push into the all-time high for the first time while we've not closed anything out. Because obviously when it comes down to these big peaks and that on the charts, that while it's all fair and well to talk about the importance of weekly time frames, everybody who's traded anything at any peak in a market ever knows that the volatility that you're likely to experience at big peaks in the markets and the declines that you can get is shocking, and it might not come back up. And when I mean shocking, it's like here over there when it was 20 grand and then it drops down to 11 grand. That's like shocking. Then when it did come back up, it went up to 16 grand and didn't continue on the way. And it would be in that final then move after all those chunks have happened where you'd be able to make that sort of assessment. And that's what, that's the sort of thing that you can look at. So I'm just saying that I'm bullish on this market, right? I'm bullish on this market. I like what you put together, Minner. I would on a smaller term time frame basis really look for that continuation to burn off the divergence that we can see between the last two peaks. If we did need to drop down the way, what mentality you've got depending on where your cutoff would be, trying to make some sort of sense of the different potential narratives that people might address the market with, given that this is obviously a longer term bullish construct. When you're talking about trading, it's who you're having the conversation with. When you can look at just on this time frame here, if you were to have only ever bought and sold this thing a few times, you could have bought it somewhere anywhere in that chunk of time and sold it anywhere in that chunk of time, bought it anywhere in that chunk of time and sold it, well, even just living through this massive drop down again, anywhere in this chunk of time. And then what you're looking for is it going to be anywhere in this chunk of time? Because this is the big question that everybody always has in all markets. Is it going to be anywhere this chunk of time here or whatever, and so on and blah blah blah, right? So I tried to address that. Anyway, so many messages there. That's interesting stuff. What happened there, says somebody. Guitar outside, thanks Guitar outside, says Trade Spotting. Wonder what happened there. Guitar outside said the Trade Spotting. That's cute, that's cool. Some chat in there, there's some chat in there. Unfortunately my meetings will run through JMA's stream today, most likely. Oh, that's annoying, Amber. Ghost of Dan, Michael Jordan's Ghost of JME is the best asymmetrical bet in the market and it's not analogous to gambling. Hey, nicely put. Can't wait to see your stream today, TradeSpawn. Excellent stuff. Says that's from Cookie. Brady Pearl, yeah, Jamie, I'm good and tied up in this one, but I'll figure it out. That's cool, Brady Pearl. Sky, hey Sky, nice to see you. Just got back from work. WTF is up with Adam Aaron. Are we talking about Alcoholics Anonymous? Yes, that's right. We're talking about Alcoholics Anonymous. It's where you actually go. It's encouraged to. That's by the way, the whole thing about this funny thing is as well is that this is, you got to remember, this is the one where I screenshot. I think I was one of the first ones in the world, probably, to screenshot and put that out there where this camera fell over and he didn't have any trousers on. That was a good one. So not just me, all of us people put their life savings into this after that interview, says people. Yeah, that's interesting stuff, isn't it? That was like thing. I'm just trying to be as I don't want to put out too many opinions about anything myself here as I'm doing this live, and I haven't had a massive amount of time to consider anything, so I don't want to put anything out there that's unconsidered. That's not very well considered. And I think that everything that I put out so far today, albeit with the I mean, I reserve the right to address anything that I might have accidentally said wrong or something like that after the fact. I do think, looking back, that I've done an okay job so far at not really, piling any massive amounts of, just showing as it is, just showing what happened as it was to represent on behalf of the people who probably feel that was what they saw in those interviews and what the outcome of that means to them, or at least is a voice. While I definitely don't claim to have the consensus voice, I'm trying to express a singular voice, without any of my own opinions to blur it all up in there or anything else with regards to the sequencing of what he said during when he said this thing and the results as we saw on the charts at the time, and the events surrounding both of these people at the time, with the greatest respect really to both of them in the positions that they do, and that it is Adam Aaron's right to sell his shares, that he had duties to perform, of which lots of them and lots of boxes were ticked during those interviews that he did, and his communication with people has certainly improved massively compared to what it would have been like 5 years ago, and his ear for the shareholders' opinions is much keener than it was, and lots of other things as well. So those are the but I'm not going to put any of my own opinions into it. These are clear things that I think can be easily documented without any need for me to apply any interpretative opinion on top. Well, he sold 650,000 of them, right? So Chippy was asking how many did he sell. Well, I don't know. He sold 650,000 shares. I don't know. You'd have to go and ask how many shares he had beforehand or whatever. Somebody said it was 62%. Rich is saying in there, I jumped back on to tell you all that I'll always love you. Wow, this is a life-changing opportunity, so we have to make sure we get it right. Found this group through Trey and Ape Andy. Yes, exactly. Exactly, you know, Trey, Ape Andy, brilliant people that put out so much stuff for the world and so much stuff for the communities and what they've done to try and empower people. Rich, fantastic as well. Everybody empowering people and everybody being part of the thing. And there's space for different opinions within a community which has respect for the individuality of everybody within it. And to be able to absolutely form a rising tide of dynamic and varied individuals, and that is especially important whenever you want to avoid any particular ideology as being a dominating thing, and to have growth and that for everybody, and to be inclusive as possible. And that's extremely important to remember, that there's the right for people to have different opinions and those voices to be heard with the greatest of respect when they're delivered in a way that is, of course, with respect for everybody around them too, is the only thing that matters. And that's what we do here in this community, and that's extremely important to me. Yeah, anyway, great. TradeSpawn, I think he's a believe in the squeeze, which is exactly why he's selling half his shares as to help this Wall Street buddies. That's very nice of him, isn't it? He wants to help his Wall Street buddies out there, and that's very, very good. That's nice. Excellent. Alabama roll tide, says Justin Gann. Good to see you, Justin Gann. Nice name. Very difficult to understand these conversations. See, someone isn't able to clear, and never me, literally. That has never been my problem, so please be clear. Yeah, everybody be clear. That's good to be. Everybody should be clear. I hope I was being clear. Not for myself. I am just really angry with how good people are being constantly lied to, says KP. Yeah, good people shouldn't be lied to. And that. Let's just go take a look at PCT as it happens. I'm interested to see how it's going to get on. Yeah, so we can stay aware of this. That's the weekly chart. Stay aware of this. Jeepers creepers. Stay aware of this. We can see that just bring it up full screen. We can see that there's you know, if you were to catch a knife on this one, it's tough, right? It's tough. Okay, very tough. And that you'd really, you know, it's like scalpy moves that can be made here. It's like you're looking for it's a scalp that would turn into a potential bigger move, but with the absolute expectation that it probably won't. You know, that type of a way. And then great, fantastic. We can do that. Buying and selling risk in this area. It's important to remember that you're buying and selling the risk. That pure cycle technologies, as great as it is, or as great as it's going to be, and as underwhelming as these earnings maybe are, given their future plans and anything else, and all the rest of it, that what we're hoping for here is to have small moves then that can eventually, like, you know, perhaps push past these zones, you know, and then of course if there's momentum to play into and extra other ways like that. But if you're just saying to yourself that that this is a confirmed area where you've got a confirmed low that's that even regardless of the trend, to be able to trade with a long side move for some reasonable expected profits based off of the back of visible, identifiable upward trend, that is not there at all whatsoever. And if I'm not wrong, this low here is lower than the previous one in terms of its close, and this is very negative. As you can tell as well, I'm not inclined to tell people to go ahead and start shorting this thing or whatever. It is an all-time lows. I don't know when it comes to this company that's got real people that work for it and real technology and real everything else, if shorting something at its all-time lows without first doing the one thing that I say that fundamental analysis is useful for, because as I always tell people, fundamental analysis is for one thing and one thing only. It's you look at a company and you ask, is it effed? That's it. So then you could go and look at that. You could do some fundamentals on it and say, well, it's not effed, right? Or you could say, maybe it is effed. I don't know. But it's all-time lows. I'm not going to say to people, start shorting this right now because it's not, or whatever necessarily, right? So this is the sort of thing where it's like, well, is it effed, do these earnings actually mean it's effed? Highly unlikely that they do. Highly unlikely that those earnings actually mean that it's effed. It's highly unlikely, and that here we've got another low coming in. We're going to start. Yeah, we're almost certainly going to have moments of bullish divergence here. We need to see something actually turn around to start being good. Yeah. Cool. Who is PWNWTFBBQ? Who's that? I see people talking. Don't know who that person is. Well said, Amber. Our fight is vertical, not horizontal. We've got each other's backs. Boom, Alex. Nice one. Amber said that before. Let me just scroll up a wee bit because I want to read what Amber said. Was it Alex that said the vertical horizontal thing though? Because I thought that was particularly good. I'm going to read what Amber said though too, and see how this went. I like the way you're inspiring each other out there. Cut hearts between people. Kimmy Yo, nice to see you, Kimmy Yo. Oh, my posture is so bad. Posture check, everybody. Hydrate. Ben, seriously, is anyone surprised by the AA sell-off? Oh, no. No. No, because it's that. It's no, but at the same time, I want that's me starting to put my opinion onto things, and I would start talking about what my opinion was watching that at the time, and my opinion about how technical analysis versus what the CEOs mean, and everything. It's a massive bag of stuff to get into, and I shouldn't necessarily have responded to that one at the time. I think that what I really need to say is that for any CEO who has the right to sell their own shares and all the rest of it, that is, for them it's not a surprise at any given time if any of them sell any of the shares. That for me, the surprise was at the time that Adam Aaron seemed to make a commitment towards linking his shares directly towards his own belief in the company, and that was obviously a faux pas at the time. And that's as far as I want to get into that discussion, but that's what I mean when I say no, right? Regardless of the BS going on currently, let's all remember not to begin fighting amongst each other. We are individuals and will have different points of view, but still have one goal. Hearts, hearts, hearts. That's right, Amber. That is it. It's to be the rising tide, right? It's to be the force for good. That's all it is we can do this. We can absolutely do it. And I think it starts right here with us. This is where it always starts. When people look back to where the genesis of where all the good stuff comes from, they'll look back and they'll think, yeah, it wasn't necessarily there. It wasn't there. It was here with other people. It's the space is identified by the people around you. It's the social space I'm talking about here. And the social space, whether it's in this video or another person's video where you say hello to each other and everybody out there supports each other as individuals who are interested in improving their own lives, learning to trade and all that good stuff, that space that we create for each other and take with us into other spaces that we go as representatives of this community is really what's important for everybody equally without judgment. And Alex's way, yes, our thing is vertical, not horizontal. It's a good way of putting it. Yeah, and that's the rules here. Cool, excellent. Ooh, and more hearts. I don't usually say mean things. Says Observe Thyself. She really doesn't, actually. Observe Thyself is one of these people that very rarely says a mean thing. Much love for that. Whatever you do, just think before hitting send. Read it over. That's good advice to everybody. That's what I was meaning with Adam Aaron. Everything he was saying sounded so scripted. And it was like, if you're saying stuff that's so scripted as you sit there without any trousers on, whether or not yeah, so like, you know what I mean by that. I mean, what I mean is that he should have read it over before hitting send. That's what I mean, really. I agree with you in terms of everything. Everybody should. I'm live as well all the time. It's very hard for me to do that. But I'm not head I'm not CEO of a company with billions and billions of dollars floating around behind it, so there's a slight difference there. I'm curious why Gherkin said the only possibility of a MOAS were if we put pressure through options. Jamie, you're doing God's work. I don't know why you would say that sort of thing necessarily. There's probably a pretty good reason for it. It's probably worked out, you know. Putting pressure on through options to have some sort of dynamic, to create some sort of dynamic for some sort of reason. And I'm sure that it's just that summary is obviously right, you know, like short squeezes are as old as the hills. Short squeezes have always happened quite often in markets. Just even when market moves just a little bit, there's a short squeeze in that little dynamic at that time, and people talk about that. People talk about often when there's momentum plays towards the top side, with things like, you know, you could look over here at the likes of, say, Humanigen, right? You could have some people. Is that going to work? Yeah. You could have some people say things like how this move up the way here at the recent lows towards this high up here, after this point at which the Rocky Outcrop flash occurred up towards that high, that was a short squeeze. And the reason that they were doing that was that bulls in here, who otherwise would have been bears, were squeezing this up towards the top side to squeeze the shorters. So bears, smart bears. So here's a bear. Right? And he's going down that way. My bears always look awful. Nice smiley bear. Give him a tail. He's going down that way, right? Do bears have tails? I don't know. Do bears have tails? Nah, bears don't have tails. We don't have bears in Scotland. Anyway, and then it became a bull just for a minute. There's a bull there. That's a really basic bull. Basic bull. Why am I laughing at that? And then squeeze them. You could say that was a short squeeze in that sense because of the market dynamics. They're pushing up towards that gap, coming back down the way. People have been shorting it down. You know, it looked like it could go up. They had to cancel out their ones. They provided liquidity. It pushed it on down afterwards, and that you could make that. Some people could make that debate, right? You could. Other people use the words in all sorts of different ways. Now, there's also this concept which is from back in the daisies, as old as the hills. It's called cornering the market, right? And what is it to corner the market? Are we going to get something up here? This will help, I guess. So in finance, cornering the market consists of obtaining sufficient control of particular stock, commodity, or other asset in an attempt to manipulate the market price. One definition of cornering market is having the greatest market share in a particular industry without having a monopoly, for instance. That's like, you know, some company is what that conflates different ideas, right? Actually, you know, right. This is I mean it from the point of view of trading. Excuse me. I mean it from the point of view of trading. Historical examples. Thales. Because the poverty was tainted useless as philosophy, but one of the knowledge taught me large crop of olives, so he raised a small sum of money and paid a round of deposits for the whole olive pastures. Right, yeah, this is about cornering the market. It's deliberately. I would edit this article so that I would put less emphasis on the idea that the phrase cornering the market comes directly from when companies have cornered the markets within their industry, because that's to do with the market share that they've got. And I mean, it's like to say that Coca-Cola have cornered the market for cola sales. And it's like, well, they invented Coca-Cola and Pepsi came along and then stole half their market off them. Well, and or that when somebody has cornered the market, you know, it's like cornering the market means something in trading, and market share does mean something in business, but not what cornering the market means in trading. And they're not. You shouldn't conflate the sentences. Anyway, so all these examples are to do with actually cornering the market, and none of them are to do with this. Actually, tell you, can you edit this? Somebody, if anybody wants to go ahead and edit that, you can see as well the examples. They're not related. So what happens when you corner the market, right? Here's a good one. This will obviously be one of my favorites from Edwin Lefebvre. Journalist Edwin Lefebvre. Tell me in the chat if you know what else this journalist wrote, if you recognize that name. If you obviously know it straight away, then you don't need to say it straight away. What else did journalist Edwin Lefebvre, what else did he write? Anybody with that? Just see if anybody can guess what else he wrote. Anyway, he lists several examples of corners from the mid-19th century. He distinguishes corners as a result of manipulation from corners as a result of competitive buying. 1869 Black Friday financial panic in the United States was caused by the efforts of Jay Gould and James Fisk to corner the gold market on the New York Gold Exchange. When the governor gold hit the market, the premium plummeted within minutes and many investors were ruined. Fisk and Gould escaped significant financial harm. In chapter 19 of his book, Edwin Lefebvre, what's this book? What's this book he's talking about? What's that book? Anybody know? Anybody know what the oh shit. All right, screw it. Sorry. Yeah, right. Anyway, that's that part of the show. Cool. Yeah. What was this thing that people asked for earlier on? What was this thing? Weekly MACD, so the weekly time frame. I think my answer for why options is the only way to make MOAS happen there is self-evident, and if you don't understand what I'm talking about, that's totally fine. It doesn't matter. It's not going to enhance the debate by proliferating that information any further than I need to. And I've done that enough. That's fine. Right, sound. So just showing just quickly, like, so from all-time lows to all-time highs, where are we here, roughly speaking? And 618 is there, 50% there. That's what we are talking, and that's correct. Comparison point on the logarithm on the linear scale, just to see it has come back as low as the 886. Popping this back onto logarithmic and asking then if this is as low as the 886, just because this is such a massive thing, is there value to be had in taking from this low? I just chuck on a magnet tool and ping this on over here up to that A there, and then down to here, 9. You know, it's so massive. You know, like where would that have been? This is higher, so you couldn't have done that in terms of the move there. Wouldn't have used the harmonic in that sense. And would I be looking for such an extreme move? Well, how did we come back up the way? Just to not to actually do that, not to actually do harmonics. Obviously, 618 golden pocket there with that bounce up. But to see the 382 as a movement back up the way, it's none of that really works properly. I mean, it could, and all the rest of it, but it doesn't. Nah. Just wanted to see what the relationships were here on both. You'd already pointed one of them out well enough. That was a 618 from before. So there was that daily flash high above inside golden pocket from last high. What think? So that's the golden pocket from last high. What think coming up next? I like the way that you're framing my thinking, by the way, for this, instead of me just kind of coming up with all of that. Oh, this is one of these interesting stuff, right? That you've got here. Boom. You've got this high flash here waiting. It's one of them. So right, you're gonna load up anymore. Is this all the data? This is all the data. I'm waiting for it to load up more data. This has only been around since January 2020 though. Okay, so it's only got those two on there. Let me just have a quick look here for a second. Why is it? Why? There. See, you see how I knew that wasn't. It doesn't matter. Just showing off at this point. Right. So that wasn't all the data. Does that mean my internet's broke? Hope not. Oh, Sarah. Oh, what was that? Oh, what? Hold on. Crushing it every day. Thanks, Rocky. Thanks, Sarah. Katie Babes. What did you do? 18, 19, whatever that is. I can't read properly because my thing keeps. Just a second here. Katie Babes, thank you. Thanks for being you, honest and helpful. More to say, thanks very much. That's very, very. Oh, and Cardano it was. Awesome. Cryptocurrency stuff. Awesome. Thanks so much. Crushing it every day. Thanks, Rocky. Thank you, Sarah. That's really appreciated. That's really appreciated. Thank you so much. That's interesting, right? Took a while for that data to load up. And the and speaking back to my TradingView chat, yesterday or whatever it was, that the what time is it? Speaking back to my TradingView chat there yesterday or whenever it was, that's obviously interesting because because I made that point about the MetaTrader 4 being so slow to load up. If this was on a different platform, I'd have been like, that doesn't look like all the data. I'll just wait for it to load in properly. But it's on TradingView, and I was like, okay, it should do it quickly. I've got a link to in my description for an affiliate thing for that. I am a TradingView official affiliate. This is not paid for content. This is me doing off my own back, but they are an affiliate. Great. Yeah, so this movement at the minute for me, mate, coming in from this high up here would be where I'd be drawing that down to that low in terms of Fibonacci, looking here between 17th or 8th of October or whatever that is, down to that low over there, and making the point about how we're below the 236 just here with this recent movement up. While we did obviously come back above it here, before that we've come back down below it again ever since. So just kind of point out that that the positivity from this movement up the way has obviously well and truly been had its back broken psychologically for folk who were looking at this and thinking that that you might find a bounce at something like the 618 or whatever, come down to the 786 and it's in bearish conditions. I mean, if we were to actually go down to the 886 here on at this point, it wouldn't be a massive surprise in terms of where that would leave us if you were looking at this from a harmonics point of view. Then is to follow up with what I was talking about earlier on, with the potential for this to be something maybe or whatever, if you were to eventually to have gone down as far as gone to go down whatever. Right, so but currently we've got this flash up here at 283 on my indicator, which is obviously a very compelling sign to myself. Am I ready to say that this is going to start going up quite yet? What with the price action that we've seen so far today, having taken us back down as low as those previous lows, but not actually ticking any lower below it. Well, if you're looking for a safer play on these types of moves, then you don't have to take the whole thing. You can just go for a 90% effort on it, and you don't have to take it from the bottom either. You can take it from points when we've actually done something like moved outside of these zones. Now, of course, being positioned for these things in advance is very good because it leaves you in terms of if it just rockets up the way, then you're obviously already there, but you're taking on that risk, and that's the reward. So this, when people talk about risk to reward and that, then bigger risk, bigger reward. Well, the bigger the risk is there versus here, and that's the reward for both people. So the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. Well, that's the less risky one, and that's the more risky one, and obviously you're looking at a bigger reward there, and sort of around about twice. So that's the mentality there. Therefore, on that point of view, since this aspect of things almost speaks for itself in that point, how are we doing with regards to could this be a turnaround for us? And this could be a turnaround for us. We have pushed our noses into this zone here. Is that enough? Not necessarily to say that conditions have changed. It would be, however, if we push back up again, then you would definitely have that. So it's not like a million miles away from doing so. If this were to have closed any lower down there, then that would have been bullishly divergent for sure. Is there hidden bullish divergence on this low then as a result of that high on this high? And you know what there is? There is hidden bullish divergence when you look between these two highs. So we've got a high here and a high here. And on the chart itself, we've got a lower high here and a lower high here. So this is a higher high in the RSI. Well, there's a lower high there. So there's your hidden bullish divergence, hidden bearish divergence there on that one. So this wasn't fulfilled immediately, and I've talked about the analogy with the boot, and you put a stone in the boot, and then you walk for a while, and if you take the stone out straight away, you're okay, but if you leave it in there for a while, then you're going to have problems that you might need to like revisit a couple of times. So far, we've come down to it once, and we're back up to it twice, and we've had it twice there. This 90% sort of drop down here is so close that this is often, you know, this is something that we talked about, I think, in yesterday's Discord chat. Shout out to the people who were there with me at the time talking about this at the time. And then over here, you know, we are currently below that with the current price action as well. It's worth bearing in mind. So this would be 1, 2, 3, or you know, what the third touch on that. Do we do something like do failure to take out the Ichimoku cloud now to go up towards that less risky move does give you the idea that you could come in for more of this down here. You know, so I'd watch out for that. Is this a knife catching situation? Well, it certainly can be, because you can easily enough manage your risk around about this sort of general zone here, sort of getting, you know, proper follow through down here, yada yada yada. Now, ultimately though, I do think that that would be a better buy than where we are now if you can get it. So it's like Sauce Food Cart said in the and shout out to Sauce, hiya, in the comments in the yesterday's YouTube video, which I haven't replied to yet, but I have read, and he said that he finds that his stop loss is often at where other people's entries would have been, which leaves him then, you know, sort of having to kind of adjust his trading to end up profitable at the end of the day, in a way that he would otherwise not want to do. And this is kind of one of those situations where you could think like that. Well, what if we did push down further? I mean, what would be the conditions that would have needed to have been there? Where did we get bullish divergence on these lows? We didn't. Is this hidden bearish divergence? Well, it is. Are we ready to go up towards the top side? Well, who knows? If we do it, is there a low risk move that you could take where you don't have to expose yourself to crap? Possibly. A lower risk move. If we, you know, where we might trend that direction. Are we trending at the minute that direction? No, we're not. Is this potentially our first higher low falling on from a high? Yes, it is. Is it potential for us to then therefore take a lower risk trade from this area, managing our risk fairly tight to try and push up the way to say that this is maybe where we find the low with this crossover that's kind of happening with the let's just go for like the 1 hour time frame. All right, give me something positive. Here with this crossover that's happening in the stochastics, you know, have we come down now and done enough? And does this then represent the does this represent any of that hidden bullish divergence? Yes. Right. So on this, so yes. So like, you want to catch that knife, then do it. Go for it. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not going to give you financial advice. Nothing I say on the internet is financial advice. Do not listen to anybody on the internet for financial advice. But if we were to come in here and fill in this gap and then get a bounce back up the way, that would be a real nice one, wouldn't it, to come up and try and fill in this gap overall here and try and take advantage of that. Well, we have come up towards the real peaky peaks on the negativity, and on this time frame, the 1 hour time frame as it is, put in this bullish divergence just here. That would give you your decent setup for a reason for thinking that, you know, that's a decent trade to be made, and looking with all eyes on just like simple things like whether or not you take out that last low in there is probably one of the ways to manage your risk if you were to be trading in that region. Obviously, with a keen eye towards not being the guy that didn't take profit when things failed at an area up above, because on larger time frames, there's other reasons to remain bearish until such times as they've properly been pushed away. Revisiting that really briefly, if this loads up and doesn't make me stand here sounding like, yeah, I need you with nothing loading. Okay, cool. Right, so you just have to look back the way to find the information. The charts aren't loading up. Right, I wonder if that means that my stream is going to stop streaming. Who knows? Anyway, it's time for me perhaps to start talking about the chat. start talking about the chat or whatever it is. Oh, there it is. There's the other time frame, and there's the potential for us to have turned things around, and obviously we could see that go positively, and then we would be ready to react, knowing how things are on the smaller time frame. We could see this not having been positive enough for us and be ready to react, knowing how things are on the smaller time frame. And we have obviously got our target in there, and that's obviously where I'm looking to, because this indicator is obviously something that I obviously think is the first port of call. But I don't put this out into the world and say just trade off the back of this. Instead, I say use technical analysis. This will help you with your exit. Chris Sweeney, you're welcome. You're welcome. Absolutely welcome. You are welcome. Ms. A's chatting with Trace One. I personally would just block somebody. So there's somebody who's been obviously somebody some sort of Twitter issue there. What is that? That's really nice. That's really nice. Dan is correct there. Everybody can go ahead and just click on Dan's super chat there, read it for yourselves. No further comments are required on it, but apart from this, Dan, thanks so much. That's really generous of you. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it. Okay, cool. So, and with that, that takes us towards the end of the show. And my wonderful friends, wonderful friends, is really, really appreciated. That you spent this time with me here. Don't let me rush off without having make sure that I've covered everything that we wanted to take a look at and revisited anything that needs to be revisited in the show. I think that there's probably a good opportunity to take a look over here at PCT and see how things have been getting on since that sort of potential for us with what's going on here. Okay, so we can see that this it pushed down, found that bounce around about this where the 1618 was, which is actually just a little bit lower. It was a little bit lower where that 1618 was, didn't quite get the whole way down, and came back up, and then it's pushed down again, and we're looking down here at the oscillators, seeing that there is that bullish divergence, the massive drop off over here, waiting for the ADX to start to actually also start to slink back down the way here, and hopefully then push up above the neutral line on the stochastics by actually taking out this previous high over here on the left. If we're able to do so, that would be cool, because otherwise this is a slight downward trend. Now with its bullish divergence that's in there, it doesn't look like a strong one, but this is again, as we talk about, I'm sorry by the way, when I make these episodes and I'm talking directly to you, my eyes are often looking at the charts over here, and that's just a function of where the camera is versus where my screen is. You know, it's hard for me to, if I'm not looking directly at the camera, then I might as well just be looking off to the side. But I certainly don't mean to not be addressing you. So this here, this is obviously obviously negative, right? Until such times as it isn't. It is what it is until it is what it isn't. That's what we'd say on the show here, without anything positive so far, other than what's just started to come in now, with this potential for this last low to actually start turning things around. Taking out that previous high will obviously push things up on terms of obviously on all of the oscillators there, really. But I was just kind of thinking about things in terms of the stochastics there, and will we get anything that really kind of springs immediately? When there's bullish divergence on this time frame, like for instance down here on the 3-minute time frame, we are in all-time low territory while this is happening. So there's a great degree of hesitancy about how far that could get pushed. You know, all shorts not wanting to give themselves unnecessary exposure in the wrong direction. And we yeah, so the bullish divergence we're seeing here at the lows is during all-time lows. That's in the same way as when things are in all-time highs. You can expect a bit of that to happen. However, we're really sensitive to the signs that we could go up the way here and take this out, and then move up and start to trend up the way, and really sensitive to the failure if we come back down and test this area and fail again, given all of the extra analysis tools we used earlier on to really kind of show that this section here is got potential to have inflection in it, even though there's that gap that's like, you know, wants to be filled or whatever, like, you know, that you might look at and think but but it's there. And off the back of these negative earnings, we've not seen like stopping volume, if you like, a big volume kind of here to stop this, and this negativity here in and of itself, while the prices got pushed further down and are currently trending down the way, couldn't be said to be stopping volume of what was previously the big downward trend previously running into this area in and of itself. That's enough of that, actually. Let's just take a quick look and see if anything else loads up, and then I'll be off, actually. And thanks so much again for Dan for that latest there as well. And again, you know, everybody that everybody can just click on that message and read it and know what it says, and that's all good. Right. Ooh, what am I looking at here? 18 or 50? No, the inflection of 30. No, the value 27. Profit taken 10%. No, the Gartley, which relies of prices remaining below 35. What is this? All right, cool, excellent, nice one, brilliant. I even in the past had laid out what the bearish scenario would be on this one, whilst being bullish on it, just to give us a pivot point there at that 35 price point, which we then pushed up above to 38. I've dropped that down below to 31. In fact, since, wow, crazy. In the last, this is the 3-hour time frame for some reason. Don't know why I have that one up. 24-hour time frame, just to kind of look quickly at and see how that stands right now. Massive wicks here at that 35 price point. So it's like people at 35 were changing their positions round at 35, you know. So it's like I had that all written out with the chat. 35, there you have it, pushed up, paying back down. That's that liquidity swap over. Let's hope that this is in fact a bullish sign for us. As you can see here, by the way, pushed up towards this area, figured around it a wee while, came down and came up again. These things can happen with these pivot points remaining on the markets. This has obviously been filled or whatever, and that's good enough for us right now. All-time high territory, but not all-time high territory, sorry, at all. Nowhere near it yet, sorry. But moving up so far, this would be bearishly divergent if we weren't able to push a bit higher. What if we can push a bit higher? What if we could push a bit higher? What if we could push a bit higher? What if we pushed a bit higher? What if we pushed a bit higher? What if we did? Right, at this point, taking out that wick of where we had the kind of the swippy swappies around, where everybody was like, I tell you what, I'll just actually change out how I was thinking on this thing. At 31.50, then you could say, right, cool, I'll relinquish any positions there and wait again to see, and I can ride up the positivity towards the 50s, and once we take back out 31.50 again or whatever, you're just simply talking about reducing your risk or whatever, if that was the case. However, I'm looking at this positively, and I want to see continuation positively. Yes, I am very much not blind to the volatility into that zone. Interesting stuff, right? Not going to let that load up. Actually, it's too much. Just takes too much long time. We'll see if this one works, and if it doesn't work fast enough, then I'll say my reverse roll qual, and all that as well. Right, yep, screw it, not loading up fast enough. So that's the end of the show. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. Oh no, it's loaded. Just loaded. Whoa. Wake up in the morning and a db in time. Saved by the wow, that pushed down to 522. That's not good. That's continuation of that downward trend. This low is coming in here. You can see in terms of the 1 hour time frame, it's pushed really low. Probably not bullishly divergent compared to these previous ones. Maybe a bit of class B on there. Hard to tell. Would really want to have charts that were loading up quickly. You're going to have to do the TA probably on this one on your own. I don't know. Actually, no, it seems to be working there. Got that body closing up here above that one whilst we've had this on the go. Is this enough? We've had these big painful movements down the way that come in from that point. Is that enough to have done it? With this move that's up above us at the minute at 607, would taking that out trend towards the top side? Well, we've felt the same thing the last number of times. I have to say, in terms of this time frame, let's just be honest with it. I'm not going to make the same sort of mistake that I've made along the way here, and say that this is what is happening. I've not actually made that mistake, to be honest. That's kind of the wrong thing. I'm not going to make the mistake. I wouldn't make a mistake to say that that's what's definitely happening on that one until such times as 1-3, and talking about market structure here being really important. I'm talking about the 2-3-6 being important. I'm talking about proper movements being proper importance. Proper. Where are we right now? Right at the edge of the 2-3-6. Oh, this is the best. This is the best opportunity. So this is the first time that I would have wanted to say it, and here we are. And yeah. Clearly need to look to market structure here. Still 382 important. The discussion we've had on the way down here will remain important on the way back up. That's resulted in hidden bullish divergence. Has it? No. Yeah, not on that time frame though. Yeah, so these lows here is being hidden bullish divergence compared to these previous lows on the way up, and this movement that we've had down the way here, so far coming as low as that, while the 236 is in here at 660 on that one. 382's been at 526, and that's where that low came in at. We've done the 382 Fibonacci retrace. You could easily get positive from here, bearing in mind that whatever we have here will probably have a retest of it. Then it's easy to make assertions about how there'd be a breakout from this area. Any breakouts from this area will probably have a retest as well, so that'll be interesting. Wow. Right. I care about this community, this movement. Will put my money where my mouth is, and I want us to succeed. There is one goal and 1,000 distractions. Brilliant. Thanks so much, Dan. He believes in everybody. He believes in all of you. It's a simple system we have here. We all just believe in each other, and over time, you will learn to believe in yourself. And there's plenty good examples of that all around you. Just look around and you'll see them. And honestly, be inspired, because these people around you right now are amazing. And and honestly, I'm talking to you as well. You are also amazing too. So it's a two thing. Look to your left and your right. Dan, says Aaron, thank you for all you do to help our favorite chirp boys and the movement. I cannot support them the way you have. You're a legend. Thank you, says Aaron. Massively appreciated. Thanks so much, pal. I hope you're it's always good to see you, Aaron, man. And Corey, I now have $5 left in my account until tomorrow, and I regret nothing. Wish I could donate more to show my appreciation. I know you know how much I care, though. I truly do. Corey, that's almost too generous, okay? So watch out. Don't be too generous. Thanks so much to everybody for tuning in. My name's been Rocky Outcrop. I really do appreciate you all being here. Thanks so much, Amanda. It's great to see you. Thanks so much, TradeSpot and Space Monkey, the disembodied remains of Manifest Density, Ghost of Dan, Katie Barra, KP, Bunsen Burner, TradeSpot. And look, nobody ever give me your last fiver, right? I don't want anybody's last fiver. And all the rest of you, thanks so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. You can hit like. You can hit like though. That's one thing. You can do that. You can hit like, and you can leave comments. Positive, cool comments. Positive ones. Like yay, and stuff like that. See ya.